Are you confused about art? And if you are not alone. I am by no stretch an art expert or even a true aficionado, but I do enjoy art, more intensely. I'm really learning to love it more and more, and it has really opened my mind, shifted how I see the world, and expanded the way I experience it. And yes, it might sound a bit corny, but that's the truth. My name is Peggy van de Pluij. Thank you for being with me on the podcast today. So let's talk about art and art education. So over the past few years, I've been, discovering the marvelous world of art through galleries, museums, art teams that are deemed reputable. And let's be honest, being reputable in art, it often means that you have commercial and financial success because, of course, it is a market, it is still a business. And lately, however, I've been wandering a bit off the beaten path, going into galleries that are less reputable, meaning less financially successful. I've been to fairs like the Artist Project here in Toronto, where actually the work comes directly from the artist, so it is not pre-approved by the usual gatekeepers. And actually, I saw a lot of pieces I really enjoyed. And what did I also encounter in these fairs? A surprising amount of snobism, and maybe that is my own naivety. There was really this underlying assumption that if an artist was not represented by a great gallery, the work itself must be inferior, as if great representation or just representation actually was a proxy for quality. That's full stop. Are you represented? Yes. What type of gallery? That's that. And I've seen that in the world of books as well. Are you self-published? Are you published by a great publisher? Meaning it's amazing. So the life cycle of an artist, though, is not linear. I know that in theory, people think that you go from no representation to representation by a smaller gallery. Then you have group shows, when you have solo shows, then you have better galleries, then you get into prestigious collections, you get into museum. But I mean, the reality, that's not bad. The pyramid is extremely steep. Just go from one point to another is impossibly difficult. And obviously, talent matters like in everything, but it is far from the only variable like in business. Geography, networks, financial backing, timing, and yes, as always, plain luck. All of that play a very significant role. So when walking through these fairs, the consensus from many attendees seemed to be this art is not great. And obviously, my first thought was, well, why are you here then? You know, that it's directly from artists to potential buyers. So if you think no representation means shitty art, well, just don't go there. And my second thought was, add 1, 2, 3 zeros to the price, hang the same price at Gagosian or Pace Gallery, or better yet, put it in a museum, and suddenly we are discussing a chef-d'œuvre, same piece, but different context and entirely different perception. So what really unsettled me most was not necessarily, the snobbery of others, but it was my own reaction. I did feel a subtle discomfort being openly enthusiastic about works that were affordable, accessible, sold directly, and sometimes often awkwardly by the artist themselves. And I caught myself wondering, am I becoming myself an insecure snob that outsource her taste to institutional validation? And this is where a very helpful distinction came back to me between art collecting and decorating. And there is a great divide between both. So an art collector often invest with financial returns in mind. And many very large art collectors don't even engage with the work. They rely on art advisors, much like one would rely on portfolio managers. And the strongest predictor of value preservation or appreciation is representation. Buying through blue chip galleries, like again, Gagosian or Pace Gallery, offers something that is very close to downside protection. And so in that context, taste almost becomes secondary because the first goal is capital preservation or appreciation. And yes, of course, ego and trophy assets, they play a role. But very conveniently, these pieces also tend to flow through the same top tier channel. So there is a large overlap. So few of us can source artworks there, like these top galleries are first extremely expensive and second difficult to break in. And so, you go down the totem pole of galleries, decreasing with every notch the downside protection until value conservation, not even creation, is pretty much zero, meaning that you're buying the art, but it's highly likely that the second you get out of the gallery, it's worth pretty much zero. On the other hand, decorating, meaning living with art, is different because you're not buying art as a financial instrument. You're buying art as something to live with, something to enjoy daily, to feel maybe something about, and no expectation of return, no illusion of value preservation, just really connection with the art. And for me, remembering this dichotomy was really liberating because it allowed me to move past my hesitation about buying from reputable or non-reputable sources, because the objective actually is fundamentally different. But more importantly, it really reframes something deeper. Even if you are a serious collector, it is not a license to dismiss artists who don't fit, the institutional nod. Because markets are efficient until they're not, and art history is filled with outliers. So this is where I have landed, basically. So every once in a while, it's totally worth taking a bet on the unknown if you're an art collector. I'm not talking about decorating. Not just for potential upside, even if that never hurts, but because, you do support an emerging artist when you do that. You engage directly with creativity, in its raw form, because you're obviously connecting with the artist versus a gallery or an intermediary. And the worst case scenario is that you end up with a piece that you like, that adds beauty, curiosity, conversation to your home, even if, unfortunately, at the end of the day, there is no intrinsic monetary value to that. So when you think about the world of art, maybe the real flex is not owning what everyone agrees is valuable. Maybe it's knowing what you love before the market tells you what you should love. So I hope you enjoyed that episode. I thought it was interesting to really contrast, again, decorating and art collecting. If you want to hear more about what I have to say, please subscribe. And if you like this video, or if you just learned something, please press the little thumbs up. Yeah. Thank you so much, and talk to you next week. Bye-bye.